Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Clean Truths. I am excited for today's episode because, long story short, Mike Tavrite, the founder and CEO of Make It Italian sausage company, is actually a dear family friend of my family's. He's amazing. He is a very passionate founder, and he has made it his mission to bring the heart and soul of Italian cooking into our homes, using only clean, high-quality ingredients to create traditional recipes that everyone can enjoy. In this episode, we dive into his culinary journey, the inspiration behind Make It Italian, and the challenges of staying true to his commitment to clean ingredients in today's market. We also tackle a really crucial topic that's on everyone's mind right now, especially with the upcoming election, price gouging, and explore what it means for small business owners like Mike who strive to keep quality accessible despite rising costs. This is definitely a conversation that you don't want to miss. It's packed with insights, stories, and a true love for Italian cuisine. And also really fun, we filmed a cooking video together of Mike Tavrite's quick and easy sausage recipe, so stay tuned for that as well. But welcome to the Clean Truth Show, and I hope you enjoy.
It has been a really tough year.
Yep.
And right now I'm scaling back so I can go forward. I'm just trying to survive that part of it.
I was gonna say, anytime, if there's months from now or whatever, like next year, if you're doing farmers markets and stuff, like let me know and I can put it on.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ever gonna get back into farmers markets. Those are a lot of work, a ton of work.
Really?
Yeah. And
you
wouldn't really believe, nobody really would understand the politics behind a farmers market.
Wait, what do you mean?
Yeah, like I said, no one gets it. When I first started, I started in a farmer's market. That's where I was going to start this, that's how I started this business. And you sit in front of the board. These are board of people that evaluate your product, talk about your company, what you're doing, what you want to sell. And they go through an analysis, they check it all out and make sure you're legit and do the paperwork and all that stuff, but they question you. They ask you about your product. And they go, okay, everybody wants the Ferry Building, because that's a killer market. If you want the Ferry Building, we need you to start off in Cal Hollow market or a lower tiered market to get you, because we want to bring all of this stuff into all of our markets, because they don't do just one. A lot of these companies do different markets throughout the week. So when you come in and sit in front of these people, you think it's like no big deal. You just show up and you throw up a tent. No, you got to go through the process.
I had no idea there was a governing board.
Oh yeah.
That's insane.
No. They own these markets. They're with the cities, so they meet with the cities and they. Excuse me, cut that. And I don't know if the city gets money from the markets from these people, but I would imagine money drives everything, right? And they've got to manage it in a certain way. They've got a health department, number one, fire department, number two. They all got to come by and inspect your tent. Every time I did when I was doing my markets in Danville or on Walnut Creek or in Pleasant Hill, you'd have to have a fire extinguisher because I had an open flame. And they have to have screens. You have to have a washing station, which means you have to have fresh water, soapy water, and a Clorox sanitizing station. All of this is required and regulated. So if you don't, for a product like mine, if you're selling peaches,
might be a bit different.
Yeah, but if you're selling peaches and you're cutting peaches up and doing samples, you have to have that whole washing station because you have to wash the fruit before you serve it to the people.
I had no idea.
Nobody does.
Oh my God. So that's a big investment, especially for little mom and pops.
It is and it isn't. It depends on what market you wanted. When I first started, I started small. I wanted small. So Pleasant Hill was my first.
Pleasant Hill's the cutest.
It is. It's a cute little town. They were very, very cool. And then I just asked about more. And I started doing the Concord Thursday night markets, which were fun because it was Thursday night. Families would come do some shopping. They'd have a movie night in the middle of the park. Kids would sit down and bring sleeping bags or bean bags or whatever and sit in the middle of the park. We'd all break down our stuff and go home, but they'd watch a movie and it was just fun. And then I did the Danville one.
I guess it's good for the community brand recognition to get your name out there for a little bit.
Listen, if there's one thing I would recommend, I know it's on the list of questions.
Tell us.
Recommend for a small upstarting brand, do a farmer's market.
Really?
Proof of concept.
Yep. That's your market research.
That's your market research. If you don't have people coming back to your booth every week, every other week, then something's not right. Then you need to reevaluate what you're doing, if you should do it in the first place. It's a low entry point too. It's not that expensive. So you can buy all the gear and all these, so that could cost you, I don't know, $1,500 all in, plus your fees, because every time you're at the market, each vendor at the market has to pay a fee every week. I remember, I'm sure it's a lot more now. The only one I really remember was, I think Danville was $45. So it's $45 for every 10 by 10. So if some food vendors have 2 or 3 spaces, so it's $45 for every 10 by 10 tent, 10 feet by 10 feet.
Okay.
And if you're selling fruit and you're selling a couple $1,000s worth of fruit, and you're paying $90.
Yeah.
It's an easy sell, but it's no guarantees. I mean, you don't know who's going to show up. The weather's bad. I've cooked and sold sausage in 105-degree weather in a parking lot, and I've sat and cooked sausage in 45-degree in rain.
It's so crazy.
It is, but if you start, again, it gets back to some of the politics with some of these companies, these farmers market, the people that manage them. If you don't show up, you get on a little bit of a blacklist. If you call ahead and let them know, and you tell them what's going on, not a problem. For some reason you don't show up. If you just start cherry picking all the good ones, they won't let you do that. They want, because they're committed to the city to provide I don't know exactly what they commit to be very honest with you, but it just seems like they are committed to the city about having these vendors on these days, and that's why there's markets pretty much every day of the week.
I had no idea. I just learned so much. Oh my gosh.
It's a pretty political, and not in a terribly bad way.
No.
But everything's got politics behind it, and it's not as simple as just, hey, I want to throw a tent up and sell sausage out of a cooler in your parking lot.
Okay, which is what we need to get into.
Okay.
Sausage is such a unique product, and not one that I feel like the consumer is educated on. And I'm so excited that you're here because you are the CEO and founder of Make It Italian, which is the cutest name ever. Sausage company.
Let's talk about the name for a second.
Okay,
I was shocked when I started I started the company, Old World Italian Sausage Company. And then that just didn't, it lasted for a little while, and then it was like, I gotta do something different. And I don't know how Make It Italian came to me.
Oh, so you went through a rebrand.
Yeah, I didn't go I was like 5 years with Old World. Most of my farmers market was Old World, but then I rebranded to Taverrite's Make It Italian. And I swear to God, I could not believe when I went to register at Make It Italian, Make It Italian with,
you got that domain?
with the trade commission. So, yeah, it's available, take it. Oh, signed it up. So I technically, it's registered, I own the phrase Make It Italian. He owns Just Do It.
That's insane. Make It Italian.
Yeah, not exactly, a little bit.
Okay, what inspired the name change? Why were you over Old World? Because that's a good name too.
It was. I just had some friends that said, Greg, you got to put your name on this. You got to put Taverrite in there somewhere. Because I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not even doing these types of things and getting on Instagram and doing videos. I'm not comfortable with this. You got camera stuff going on. I'm not comfortable with this. It's just you and I talking, so we're just going to go through it. So.
And it's just so crazy that now it's just like part of the...
You were talking about sausage. You said so unique. It's really not. It's literally been around forever.
Tell us about it.
I don't know the full story of it, but it's a cured meat, most of it. It used to be anyways. In the Roman era, they used to hang and cure sausage, and they could take it with them into battle, right? They'd have something to eat. These are really simple, easy things to produce and make. I mean, it's not new by any stretch. Some of the stuff, the flavor profiles now are new. A lot of that's new. And I think the big gourmet chicken sausage, which we've talked about, which we'll talk about again, really ignited that whole category because chicken sausage is chicken just typically was never used in making sausage. Sausage is typically made with the leftover parts. Okay, so in today's world, a butcher would get a roast or something, and they would have to break that roast down, break it down. So they would trim it up so when it looks pretty in the grocery store, it doesn't have the fat that's always typically around. So they would trim that piece, and they would save all those trimmings, put them in typically a gray bin, and that's what they would use to make sausage. That's the origin. That's the origin of making sausage. But in today's world, it's very simple. If you're buying this stuff, you look at the price.
Okay.
Okay. If you're buying sausage for $3.99 a pound, $4.99 a pound, even $5.99 a pound, you're not getting really quality cuts.
Okay.
You're getting a lot of trimmings, some added fat, and other important parts that you may not want to know about. That's, I know, and that's, well, I may have said this to you when we first met. You have the old joke, right? Two things in life you don't want to see being made: sausage and politics. I can't speak to politics. I know it's gruesome and horrible, and especially in today's world. But sausages used to be, chicken sausage is not made the way you think. It's made with a lot of chicken skins. It's typically made with some chicken thighs, but mostly drum meat. So drum legs, thighs. So they use that. And you can pretty much tell when you cut into a hot dog or a sausage or anything like that. If you cut into it and it has like a smooth finish to it, like a hot dog, if you ever cut a hot dog, it's smooth. They've taken whatever they've used to make that hot dog. And I like a good hot dog.
Right, so do
They've emulsified it. They basically turned it into a liquid. How does Spam get into a can? They emulsify it. They make it into a liquid. They
oh my God.
Spin it up.
And now that you say it, I'm like, well, no, of course, but
right.
you don't
when I was a little kid, we used to, my mom and dad used to buy the can and ham. Remember the can?
Yes.
Like, I never wondered how did they get that in there? What they do is they just put it in little huge machines as big as this room that are just Cuisinarts.
And there's no oversight as to the quality of it, which is our main issue.
The oversight is the owner of the product. They get to decide what they want to put in it. As long as it's edible, you can put stuff you can put in it. When someone says it's an all beef hot dog, just remember, snout the tail.
Oh my God. Okay, so did you just wake up one day and say, I'm gonna start a sausage company? Like how does that come into play? Give us the background.
All right, so that part is a little more interesting. I've been in the printing and packaging world for 30 some odd years.
Okay.
And I had moved into my home in Alamo, where I met your family years ago. And things were going great. Things were, young family, kids were young, doing well. I was stayed home, so it was really it was a nice little life. But as always in sales, there's always the attrition. You win some, you lose some, and some accounts come and some accounts go. I made a mistake. I had too many eggs in too few baskets, meaning I had a lot of my business tied into a smaller number of accounts. And two of those accounts, one shifted their manufacturing from here to Brazil, and one of them had oversaturated the market with their own product. I decided I needed to supplement my income. This was back in 2004.
Okay.
So this was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And back then there was no side hustles like there are today. There's no Ubers or driving, and I didn't want to get back in the restaurant business. And 3 young kids, last thing I want to do is come home from work. And I still, to this day, don't know how I came up with the decision to sell sausage, but my grandfather, I know, my grandfather had a butcher shop in upstate New York. So this is the origin. So my grandfather had a butcher shop in upstate New York. My dad had the sausage recipe. I called him up one day and I go, I don't know, do you have the recipe? Yeah. Well, give it to me. Let me see what I can do with this. I'm going to try and start this little side hustle business. And lo and behold, I found a small little butcher / co-packer, but he was really more of a butcher that was making it for me. I was only selling like 50 or 100 pounds. That's all I was doing, just mixing spices, grinder. I quickly got out of his facility, but I just started selling in farmers markets. It was just one of those things, so I can get a little bit extra cash and buy some fruits and vegetables, come home with the family. It wasn't desperate, but it was one of those things where you just need to bring some extra money in. And I would sell packaging during the day, like I currently do today.
Yeah.
And I would run the business when I needed to, the farmers markets. And I started with one market, and then I did 2 markets. I would do so it got into me every Saturday, every other Thursday night in the Concord market in downtown Concord. And every other Sunday was out in, I can't remember where it was. But yeah, we used to do markets.
And would you say growing up, food was like a big component of your family?
Yeah, I'm Italian. I'm 100% Italian. I know it's a setup question, but we would finish a meal, as in many of Italian families, we'd finish a meal and say, okay.
And who's we? You, your mom,
my mom, family, whatever. This is growing up, or
yeah.
Grandparents or whatever.
Yep.
Sit back, all right, what are we gonna have for dinner? Or what are we gonna have? The meals it was always front and center, always front and center. And and that was a great part about growing up the way I did.
And did you carry that on to your own family?
I bring it to my kids. All know that I love to cook. They have a question, they will always call me or text me or ask me. It's a dad.
So you've always had a love of cooking your entire
this
life.
This is ultimately my passion.
Yeah.
This is what I love to do. This is something that's been in my DNA for a long time. So I truly enjoy creating. It's a love language for me.
Yes.
So it's an act of service. I like entertaining people. I like food is my way of showing my love, and that's what I do.
We're going to have a dinner party. We'll talk offline. We'll talk offline. We're going to throw a massive dinner party.
I can be sometimes, I've been told, you're being too much. We don't need all of this. You can't have this without this. You've got it. No, it's okay. They're not going to notice, but I'm going to notice.
God, I love that about you.
It's just, I know, it's a weird thing, but everybody's come to accept it with who I am.
So you started this in 2004, and you made a really good point. This was truly before everyone had a side hustle, before a lot of these tech companies started, before we had the Instagrams of the world. So when you started this in 2004, early 2000s, what were some of the earliest challenges that you faced as a little side startup?
That time, energy.
Yes.
That's all it was.
People never talk about that.
No, you're missing time with the family, right? So
Yes.
I was missing soccer games. I was missing baseball games. Then they got to start coming with me. So they would come to the markets with me, and they wouldn't do much, but they got used to it. They got used to interacting with people, which is something I enjoy doing. And yeah, just hard work. Those farmers market people they're working hard.
Yes. I think that's for everyone listening, that's a good thing to remember. When you go to these farmers markets, these are families really dedicated.
They're not always the least expensive products on the market, but especially right now in this time of year, in summertime, God, everything is fantastic.
Yeah.
The food is just so good. Tomorrow, I love tomatoes, but I only eat them a certain time of the year. I'll never buy them at a grocery store.
It's good advice.
Because they pick them green, they ship them green, they ripen as they box them and package them and get them over to the market. So typically when you're tasting a tomato, it's mealy, it's hard. There's really no nutritional value in a lot of it. But when you go to the market, farmer's market, or even sometimes in the grocery stores today, at this time of year, you're gonna get a nice fresh tomato, which is what
you want.
This is what you want all your food.
What you want.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about Taverrite Make It Italian. How many sausage lines do you have?
I have 4 SKUs. So the 2 original ones, that my grandfather he's the one that he started ran his grocery store with his butcher shop with, were the mild and the hot. And they were all raw. Back then it was not pre-cooked. They didn't do pre-cooked. It was all raw. And he used to use trimmings. Because he was a butcher.
Right.
He was trimming up a roast, the great bucket, use that to make a sausage. I didn't want to do that. That's not how I do it. But yeah, what was the question? I lost my train of thought.
I was just going to say, so how many?
So I have 4 SKUs. So I have the mild and the hot.
Yep.
Those are the original ones. And I have 2 new ones, relatively new ones. There's sun-dried tomato basil.
Yeah, I need it.
It's really good. But the one I love them all, but portobello mushroom and roasted garlic. It's so good. So amazingly good. And it's hard to sell that product. Consumers shop with their eyes, right? Because it has real mushrooms in it, not just mushroom powder. It's brown. It's pre-cooked, it's brown. It looks unappetizing, but mushrooms, that's what it should look like.
That's what you want.
That's what it should look like.
Do you see a difference in consumer from when you started in 2004 to today?
I think people are more educated today, to some degree. I think they pay a little more attention to what they're eating, and they are reading labels, and we can get into that if you want to. But yeah, I think they're maturing. I think my family, my mom and dad's generation, we're all creatures of habit.
Totally.
As humans, we go to the store, we go to the gym, we'll do some of the same exercises every Monday. I'm going to do legs and whatever. But when you go to the grocery store, you're going to typically buy the same brand, same items that you bought the week before. My job as a small producer trying to break into a huge industry is to try and break your buying habits, right? I'm gonna offer you a sample if I can do that. If I have a sample or a demo going on in the store, that's obviously the best way to get someone to try the product. But product on the shelf, if it's on sale, people, will sometimes, you know what? I've never tried this brand, it looks good, I'll just give this a try. And my experience is then once someone tries the product, they come back. And I'm fighting two battles. I'm fighting the battle of trying to keep the consumer that I already have, because we're all creatures of habit, they want to come back. I want you to be the habit. I want to be your habit.
Yes,
right.
I want to be your habit. That's
right.
Line.
Yeah, I want to be the habit that you're coming back to. And then the other one is trying to get that consumer that thinks chicken sausage is healthy.
How are you ensuring the quality of your?
I control it with my co-packer.
Okay, now what does that mean?
So
break it down for us.
I have a contract with a co-packer, and a lot of the food in general, not just sausage, but a lot of food in grocery stores have co-packers. So I created a brand.
Okay.
For me to open up a USDA certified facility to make sausage, millions of dollars, can't do it, not worth it.
Okay.
There's companies that already have that stuff. They have space in their manufacturing line. Say, hey, why don't we bring in Greg's stuff? Greg walks in and said, okay, this is the cut of meat that I want. Here's my spice bag. Use this with X amount of pounds of meat. I'll provide the printing and packaging. This is how I want it cooked. This is how I want it ground. This is the grind and the texture I'm looking for. And we work through a prototype step. And once they get it, they're good. They get it. Hiccups here and there, but nothing really that affects the quality or the texture of the product. It's so much easier for small brands like mine. I would never be in business without that. Never.
And how often are you in touch with your co-packer?
Weekly. As often as I need to be.
And how are you finding your ingredients to source for the sausages? So your sun-dried tomato, is that a full great Taverrite, your own?
So I came up with I'm good, but I'm not that good. So I came up with the flavor profile that I wanted. And there are people out there that you can hire, chefs that have experience in this industry. Say, this is what I'm looking for. This is the flavor profile I want. Okay, give me X and I will create this product for you. And they go through testing, processing, and so then we take it down to the co-packer, they run it through their facility, small batch type of stuff. And once we get to a flavor that we like, then stamp it, and that's it.
So everything gets your final stamp of approval before it ever hits.
Absolutely.
It's funny, when I was doing research for this, I just educated myself on the sausage industry. It is interesting how many owners or creators of their brand actually don't give their stamp of approval. They hire someone to do that. Very interesting. So it's amazing that you do that.
Listen, my name's on the package.
You feel a sense of loyalty?
Listen, I mentioned chicken sausage loyalty. It's not loyal, it's me.
Bingo.
It's my pictures on the back of the package. I mean, my address, I'm here. By the way, we'll talk about this in a minute. We talked about chicken sausage, as you mentioned. I mean, Adele's is probably the biggest brand in the country. And he's a chef that started in Berkeley, and he started making chicken sausage. And when Bruce ran the business, it was a good product. It was a quality product. He really had a great product. But like with companies that succeed, other companies want part of it, bigger companies, and they offer you a lot of money. And Bruce sold out a long time ago. He does not own, he has no ownership in that business anymore. It's owned by Tyson. He did well for himself, but he didn't do as well as he could have had he stuck with it. But they've bastardized that product, but he still has his name and likeness on the package. So that's something that I'm sure I don't know for sure what he regrets and doesn't regret. That were to happen to me, there would be some serious contractual clauses involved in my name is on the package then.
I think that's a really good learning lesson for consumers, is that you have to be very careful, because in a sense, when you're looking at Adele's packaging, you go, oh, mom and pop.
Artisan,
oh, how
small scale.
Small batch. Exactly, and that is not always the case.
Not always. In that case, it's not. It's owned by Tyson now.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, you would not know that just by looking at.
And, I haven't looked at the back of the packaging. Maybe I should and just check it up. But it may say Tyson.
But I'm sure it's like really tiny, small in the corner somewhere. That
they have to buy the USDA. Says you got to.
And I'm sorry, like what mom it has time as she's trying to feed her kids. Look through it's so much work. So
it is
really interesting.
Some moms do, but
yes.
the creatures of habit. Back to that same stuff. Oh, my kids love this. It's an easy meal. I'm going to put it in the basket. I'm not going to try anything new because that could be a risk, and I don't want. He doesn't like whatever.
How would you say, maybe the past 5-6 years, how has the current market impacted not only your small business, but the sausage industry as a whole?
I can't really speak for the sausage industry as a whole. I mean, it is a really, overall, it's a low-cost protein. And speaking for my own product, it's a high-quality, low-cost protein. Now, price will tell you everything. Price will tell you everything. If it's not on sale, price will tell you what you're buying. It's very simple. Turn it over, look at the ingredients. Back of my package has the ingredients on it. The USDA requires that I have a certain font size for my packaging. For the ingredients, that has to be a certain size for the consumer to see. It's required by the USDA. They give you X amount of square inches. It's a calculation. So you have whatever number of square inches on your package. And if you're in this category, your font has to be this size. I have nothing to hide. My font is, I don't know, 2-3 times bigger than what you tell me. No, it's like,
that's amazing.
This is it.
You
want to know?
No.
You want to know what's in it? There it is.
Yep.
Everything is recognizable. There's no crazy parts, no crazy ingredients. It's all stuff that, what I like to say is kitchen ingredients. Stuff that you'll recognize. And that's, to me, and the cut of pork. That use a whole cut pork shoulder. So if you go to a market, you're going to make carnitas, you're going to cook your slow roast. That's the same product that I take, I grind it up, add seasoning, and case it and cook it. So it's minimally processed, but that's it. What I like to say, it's whole cuts of pork, no fillers, no trimmings, no added fat, no crazy pork parts. It's just pork shoulder. And you can tell, and remember we talked about if you cut into something and it's really smooth, it has that smooth little finish to it.
Yes.
Mine doesn't. Mine has texture. You can actually see some particulate. You see the actual meat itself that's been ground. I wanted a coarser grind.
This might be a dumb question, but do other companies, do they put oils in their sausage?
I have no idea. Oils?
Like certain oils to... Okay.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
And I'm in control of my little world.
Yeah, exactly.
That's about
That's smart, stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Okay, explain to us how, now that we have your sausage, and you've got your co-packer, you're creating these great flavors, how do you break into a store? How does that work?
It's not easy. It is not easy. No, you've got to have a good product. Whole Foods was, and still is, a very good customer of mine. They are still a customer of mine, not was. They are a good customer of mine. Obviously, they've changed because of Amazon, right? So there is some changes going on over there. But basically, it's quite simple. And you walk in, you set an appointment with the buyer. You typically will bring in product with you. You'll typically, what they do, we call it cutting. So you'll cook the product. You'll cut samples, have one or more people there in the booth trying the product.
So you're taking your farmer market days and you're bringing it straight to the store.
Pretty much. There's a little bit of that. Some of them have actual kitchens, so you can go in ahead of time.
Oh, cool.
Cook it up a little bit ahead of time. Yeah, I did that with Costco last year, and I'm hoping that, fingers crossed, we get an opportunity with them. But yeah, so you just go in and they ask questions, and you talk about the product. Once you get into that space, the larger stores, we're going to talk a little bit about price gouging. So the larger stores have what's called slotting fees. Whole Foods does not. Small independent stores do not, typically. Sometimes they want a free fill. So, yeah, we'll bring your product in, but we want a free fill, which means they want a case of product from me for free, and just one in the beginning, just to get the product started. Because sometimes, again, creatures of habit. We go in, we buy what we buy. If someone comes in, the buyer thinks, my consumers are going to like this, my consumers need to get used to seeing it on the shelf. Literally, they just need to see it. And sometimes it sits there for a long enough period of time where it actually goes out of code, it goes bad, so they have to throw it away. It does expire, right? They do have some expiration dates on it. They all have expiration dates on it. So it's an opportunity for them to get some product for free, so they can put it on the shelf to see if the consumers are willing to spend the money to bring it in. And then they'll typically order it again, and if it continues to go bad, and they have to, they call it shrink it out, meaning take it off the shelf, throw it away, then you're not gonna stay on the shelf very long. But the larger stores will do all of that, but they'll charge you what they call a slotting fee. If you are in a grocery store, next time you're in a grocery store, and you're looking at the shelves, whatever, sausage, soup, spices, whatever, think of every square inch on that shelf as real estate. And the consumer doesn't realize it, but the grocery store owners at the higher levels, we're talking the Krogers, the Albertsons of the world, they sell those spaces to the vendor. You go in with 4 items, right? And I want to go into, let's just use an example of Safeway in Northern California. They have 120, I don't know, some over 100 stores. Yeah, Greg, we like it. We want to bring in 2 or 4, whatever, all new products. Here's the deal. You're going to have to pay us anywhere from $75 to, I don't know, I think I've heard up to $150 or $125 per item per store.
I figured it was per item.
So I get 4 SKUs. So let's just say it's $100 just for easy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we need easy math with this podcast.
Well, I'm not going to go into
I count on my fingers.
We're not going to go into it too much. Let's just say it's $100. They want to bring in all 4 they love, all right? They want to bring in all 4 and 100 stores. So that's $400 times $400 times 100 stores. What is that, 40, right?
And you have to pay that all up front, correct?
Not up front. Sometimes they make you pay it up front. Sometimes they just put it on a top sheet and that you just keep shipping product in until that 40 grand is paid off, and then they start paying your checks. But that whole time, I'm buying the product, I'm shipping it in, I'm paying for all that stuff. So you've got to have some really deep pockets. That's why sometimes prices are what they are, because all of that stuff costs money, and we have to build that price, those expenses, into our unit cost. It's not just sell it, ship it, get it in. That doesn't, and I'm skipping a step. That's if I sell it direct. Again, Whole Foods, a lot of independent stores, they don't do that. They don't charge it. If I go through a distributor, someone, an intermediary, no.
Yeah. The intermediate person.
Yeah. They're the trucking, they're the wheels, they're the trucks. Okay? So let's say I'm doing, let's just use Albertsons as an example because I'm already thrown in the middle of the bus. But it's not just them. But it's free money to them. And those programs, the way I understand it, those programs were not created by the retailer. They were created by the big competitors of mine, like Tyson's, because they know I can't pay it.
Oh, that's so interesting.
They know I can't pay it. So $40,000 for those guys?
It's nothing.
That's not even a lunch budget.
Exactly.
Not even a lunch budget.
Okay, so you brought up something interesting really interesting that is on a lot of people's minds right now, not only because you have an election coming up, but because the everyday consumer is feeling this at an exponential rate, which is the term price gouging.
Yeah.
Can you explain to us what that is?
The price gouging is just, from the way I understand it, the retailer or the producer sees an opportunity to raise the price in a marketplace that there's no reason to raise the price. Now, years ago, not that long ago, freight was a reason to raise the price. There was a negative expense. Of added gas prices are up, so it costs a little bit more money. But again, that's stuff that we have to absorb. And then we have to raise our price to the retailer or to the distributor, and they in turn pass it up. But I will typically pass along a price increase equal to my increase in my cost, right? The distributor, which I'm going to finish that part of the story, but the distributor will mark it up that plus their normal margin. And then the retailer will do that plus their normal margin. So what I've learned, this is going to be crazy, okay? Everybody behind me makes more money than I do, in my world, okay? I don't know about anybody else, but everybody else makes more money than I do. That means the distributor, that means the retailer. Retailer has risk, I understand that. But they will typically double the price or more. Or a little bit less typically, but not often much less. So they'll do 40% margin or 50% margin, which is a double, right? Margin markup is different. Margin is 50% of the cost. So if something costs them $1, they will sell it for $2.
So when I'm buying
Whatever.
my basil, I just bought yesterday, it was $5.99, $6.99.
For a bunch of that's a lot of money for basil.
It's a lot of money for basil. Where normally, because that is probably 50-40% of an increase.
But they double the price because that basil may not last, right? It may go bad before it gets bought. I understand that. That makes sense. There's a bigger risk for them. And sometimes it's even more. Sometimes it can be a lot more. In meat, it's typically not always double. I've seen some of my product more than double. On some
Really?
shelves, yeah.
And so you have nothing to do with the price.
I can't control that.
And people don't know that. Like, people don't understand. So you.
But again, there are some risk involved for the retailer. Right?
Totally.
They got to cover their losses and they've got to build that into their price. There's some of that, but I think there's room.
So have you personally employed any strategies to try to keep your product at
I'm
a reasonable
trying
price?
to cover my costs, obviously cover my costs and my expenses, and be a profitable company. And it's very difficult. We've talked previous to this, but I've had to scale my company back significantly this year. Significantly in the past 2 months. I had national distribution through a major distributor, and I was with them for 2.5 years maybe, and it just got to be way too expensive. I was not making money, I was losing money. So for 2.5 years I was letting my profitable business cover the expenses of that business, hoping my velocity, meaning hoping I would sell more. So once you get to a sweet spot, your costs are covered overall. But typically you're losing money early and often when you're shipping as far as I was shipping outside of my California western states. And it just got to be extremely painful financially and stressful, let alone sleepless nights and all that kind of stuff. One desperate morning on the beginning of July, I called my broker, I called my distributor, and I sent out emails, said, listen, we're done. I can't do it anymore. Can't absorb the costs, can't not absorb the losses if I want to stay in business. And that was only 2 months ago, 3 months ago. I've been going through a very tough learning curve. Moving back towards my profitable business on the West Coast, and gonna regroup and reorganize and then find a way forward and try to build my velocity, meaning selling more product in the stores I'm already in.
So you're gonna do more of a focus on where you're currently at.
Yep. Whole Foods in Northern California, Southern California, all my independents in between, Rayleigh's and Bel Air and all those little stores, and all the independents in between them. That's gonna be my focus. And then I'm gonna try and do Costco and get something there. But they're pretty strict on how they do business. They're really good about how they treat their vendors. They're straight up great company to work with from a vendor's perspective. And as far as price gouging, that's not their model. That's not the way they operate. We all know if you shop at Costco, I don't know anything about Sam's or anything else, but if you shop at Costco, you're gonna find a value.
Have you been able to communicate any of this as like what's going on to your current customer base? Do people?
No, this is not my comfort zone, so to speak, on camera, on mic, but I'm starting to get more comfortable with the whole Instagram and TikTok thing. My dad recently did something about chicken sausage. I think there's part of my model for my social media is education.
Bingo. And this is like just personal experience sharing with you, but I do feel like being vulnerable with your customers and your audience, I think it goes a long way. And it's really hard for people to do, and it's really hard to do that on camera, but to educate them about this would be huge.
I don't think it's not hard for me to do. Because you mentioned price gouging. And the headlines are, we're all getting rich, right? And the reality is, we're just covering our asses. There are some producers that can produce so much less expensive than I can. I make small batches, I do small runs, that's more expensive. Tyson, when they run, Adele's chicken apple sauces, they run thousands of pounds of that because it goes everywhere and people buy it, and their efficiencies in the manufacturing are better than anybody else's because they do it. And when you get to that point, your efficiencies lower your costs. The more you run, the faster you run, the less expensive it is. You just flip on a machine and it just keeps going.
And would you agree that the messaging right now that I feel like we're seeing like in the news, like the day-to-day, is that there's been blame shifted on the owners of these consumer goods?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And again, it's not the little guys like me, not even the guys like my co-packer. He's a much bigger company than I am. That price gouging really starts, notwithstanding the larger road conglomerates that are out there. When I have a sale on a product, I offer it to my distributor. My distributor passes it on to my retailer. If it doesn't sell, that distributor comes back to me and makes me pay for it no matter what, even though it may not sell. That's part of what I was talking about a few minutes ago, it's a very expensive proposition. So in my other business that I run, I have to sell my product once. You're my buyer, here's my widget, it works well, price is good, let's buy it, okay? Bring it in and resell it. Now we're talking sausage and meat and consumer packaged goods. You're my buyer, I bring it in, you like it, here's your fees, cha-ching. Now I get it on the shelf, and now I've got to sell it to the consumer. Mm-hmm. And that's even harder. Mm-hmm. It's easy to sell to the buyer, and that's not easy at all. Hard part is breaking the buying habits of the consumer, getting them to understand my product offers this and this. I do that by doing a demo when possible, or sales. It was $8.99 a package, now it's $7.99, $6.99 on sale. And all of that sale money, that deduction is typically mine. So if it goes from $8.99 down to $7.99, I've typically offered the retailer a $1 discount so I can get that sale price on.
So you're taking a personal cut with that sale?
Sometimes the retailer will match you. So I offer them $1, they'll take $1 off. So now it's on sale for $6.99.
Oh, interesting.
Whole Foods is good about that. They're typically, and a lot of the independents are too. But there's also some retailers, I offer them $1, I'll take 50 cents off. I'm not going to match you full all the way, I'm going to match you, I'll do halfway.
There's so many steps to this, it's insane. Who would have any idea?
Nobody knows this stuff.
No one knows.
No.
Like, you just describing that to me, I'm just thinking of, if I were to own Taverrite Make in Time, my day-to-day steps, you have to do so much work.
You have to manage it, yes.
It's to manage, exactly.
Yeah.
But to also remember to think, and then you have to communicate with all these different stores, and oh my God,
yeah.
I have so much, like, the way that my respects now for small businesses with consumer packaged goods, it's a totally different story now.
Yeah, and it's part of the process. It is, and listen, I've had great success up until this year. It's been doing really well. I'm very happy with everything that's doing. At some point, I don't have investors. I've got a couple small investors. I'm looking at a strategic investment for me would be ideal. Someone with that company would look. They have a manufacturing facility. Hey, we do this, or they own farms, hog farms. Buy our hogs, bring it in, use it to make your product. We will help you. And then someone comes in and says, great, we want to be a strategic partner. We want 20, 30% of your business. Here's a few $1 million. That opens up the world for me. Because then I can start paying those slotting fees. And then I can start playing the game. But when you're going hand to mouth, it's almost impossible. It's really almost impossible.
Where do you see this market heading towards? Like, do you think price gouging, quote unquote, is gonna?
I hate the government getting involved in what's happening. The consumer has the power.
The consumer has the power.
Right. The consumer has the power.
So what should the consumer do?
I knew you were going to ask me that. Know what you're buying, first and foremost. Just know what you're buying. Know who you're buying it from.
Educate yourself.
Educate yourself. Let the brand educate you, but also educate yourself. Yeah, I understand. There are budgets out there. There are people, it's like, yeah, Greg, I'd love to buy your $8.99 a package sausage of full cuts of pork, blah, blah, blah. But I got 3 kids and this and my things are going up. I've got to buy something a little less expensive. I get that. I do. I'm not oblivious to the situation that people have. I'm offering to acquire quality premium product, and it just costs money. That's what it is. But the consumer can do better by educating themselves in what they're buying. And then if there's other places maybe you cut back, but I can't tell people how to shop and live their lives because we all have budgets to live under. You know, it's not a free-for-all. Mm-hmm. So, and I don't think it's always in America the consumer is going to dictate what happens. I don't want the government shouldn't be dictating how this is, but the education is. I don't think the government is educated. All the things that you and I just talked about, the prices that I have to pay, the expenses that go along with it, they have no idea.
Yes, exactly.
They have no idea. So they're the big overall banner is manufacturers are price gouging the little consumer, and we're going to fight for the little consumer, which is great. That's what they should do, and that's fantastic. But they really need to educate themselves on really what they're talking about. And that's part of just most governments don't have the time, bandwidth, or
where it falls on list of priorities.
Trying to make, priority, exactly.
Yeah, it's just so sad to see more monopolies take over, especially in the industry.
Listen, I used to sit in that chair also and say, no, I'm gonna fight the man. You know? Listen, if someone offered me a hefty amount of money to cash out,
okay, Tyson,
that's stupid. I didn't get into this, but anyway, it's
that's hilarious.
But that's how Bruce, it happened to Bruce Adele, but he got low a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Is
he still alive?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Very talented guy.
I was going to say, rest in peace, Bruce, but now he's still here.
Yeah, but he's still, I don't know what he does. I've met him a couple times, but
yeah.
About it.
So where are you hoping, so I know that we chatted that you are now going to take a step back, focus on where you're currently at,
yep.
But where are you hoping to see Taverrite Space Italian go? Are you going to expand outside of sausage?
Ideally.
Can we do a meatball?
I have a meatball right now, but all of the steaks, money.
I know.
Italian food's the #1 ethnic food enjoyed by Americans throughout the world. It's the #1. That was what I last. Chinese food I think was second. I gotta believe Mexican food is
Mexican food has to be up there.
It's gotta be up there, right? I love me a taco.
My favorite.
Don't offer me, but no, I think Italian food is still, because how do you know?
You can't turn down pasta. Exactly.
People think, look at me started, carbohydrates and pasta. Yeah, there's also a lot of protein, and it's a complex carbohydrate. It's not a simple sugar. It's not easy. It stays in your system. It burns slowly. Your cells need carbohydrates, mm-hmm. all of them, and mm-hmm. it's not as bad for it as everybody makes it out to be.
Totally. So. Especially when you go to Italy and eat the food.
Oh, yeah, you don't see too many fat Italians walking around.
You don't.
They do a lot of walking. This is not an exercise segment.
What advice would you give to entrepreneurs right now trying to break into the food industry?
We talked about this a little earlier. You've got to have a proof of concept. If you can start online, if you can start with farmers markets, you can do those types of things. My stuff's hard to start online because you have to ship it cold. It's expensive, mm-hmm. right? And you're paying really high freight fees. Again, there's fees and costs built into all this stuff. And know what you're getting into, right? We've talked about a lot of things here. Start small. Start with a small little local retailer, someone that believes in do demos. If you can't do farmers markets, get into a retailer, find out if they want to tell them to do a demo. I can't tell you the number of demos I did. Once I gave up the farmers markets and I started doing demos in Whole Foods, I did lots and lots of them just to get the product out there, get the product awareness, and get feedback. Feedback is critical. They tell you. I would do demos and I would sell 10 cases of product, which is unheard of, right? Mm-hmm. But it's a quality product, it's got good flavor profile, people like it, and they will pay for it. But that's part of it. Yeah.
What's been your experience selling to, or I guess what is the difference between trying to break into retail versus breaking into selling to restaurants?
So there's really, in my experience, there's 4 channels of sales, 3 or 4 channels of sales. Online sales, which I can't get either. CPG, which I'm doing now. Restaurant sales, which is a whole really different type of selling. It's great because it creates a cash flow. But you sell it at a reduced price, which is fair, right? You sell it more in bulk, there's no packaging, there's very little. But the restaurant, pizza place, for example, let's say, people love my pizza, they come here, they love the sausage. I might have a better sausage than what they're currently using, but the consumer, his customer, is so used to his product, that particular sausage, that for him to switch, very difficult. So early stages of a restaurant coming in, but there's also some people that are just like, I need to flip my menu. So you're only in there for a certain period of time. And the other sale is club stores, so Costco, bigger stores. So those are really the 4 channels for start small, start really small. Farmers market. Your friends and family are going to tell you they love it. That's not who you want testing your product.
Isn't that the truth? Because they'll tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah, they're not going to break your heart.
Exactly. And you have to.
You should be breaking. You
need to have your heart broken.
Right.
It's so true. That's even just doing like this podcast at Chemo Club over the weekend. My friends who are the best gave me some like interesting advice that is heartbreaking worthy, and I was like, wait, that's really good. Like I needed to hear that, and you need that. You just can't have yes men.
I was out last night, and one of my buddies is starting to watch my videos, which I'm starting to do more and more of, and he goes, yeah, you're doing okay. Everybody's, what am I not doing? So he gives me a little feedback, and so the criticism is good. It's not criticizing my product, it's criticizing the way and I'm not comfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
Cooking and doing all this on the street, but I love to cook, so might as well do one, help the other, and
it's also, this is so funny, it's also like when you take the feedback though, like when my friends give feedback, I'm like, then you fucking do it.
It could be offensive, Allie.
I have to be very careful.
Yes, you want to go down that road, but then that's when you go to the gym and get on this trend.
Yes, exactly.
You work out that way.
Excuse me, what did you just say?
Yeah, and it is and whether they're trying to help you or hurt you, that's for you to figure out. Right?
Exactly.
Because there are people and quote unquote friends that don't want to see you get to where you are headed. Not you specifically, but just in general. But when they see the work that goes into it, your true friends are going to be there for you.
Growing up, my parents would always be like, keep your circle small. Keep your circle small. And I think that's in high school and college, you're like, I want more friends, I need friends. Right. And as you get older, and as you start to do these endeavors, that saying has, I don't know, it's just like recently, especially like the past couple months.
I got very few friends, got a lot of acquaintances.
Yes.
A lot of acquaintances.
Yes.
That's fine, that's okay. We have a mutual family that we're
totally
friends with.
But you have to keep your circle small for that instance, because not everyone wants you to succeed. Not everyone wants to see you go places. And so when you can keep your circle small, and that's like your trust unit.
Yeah. That's who you go. That's who you bounce ideas off of. That's who you talk to about it. That's how you want feedback. Who you want feedback from. So, proof of concept is great, but best not to do it in a comfortable situation. Make it uncomfortable.
That's so good. Make it uncomfortable.
Yeah,
I love that.
Make it uncomfortable. Put it out. Put yourself out there. And you're putting yourself out there by doing this. I put myself out there unknowingly, but I did it for people. Ask me why I started it. Typically, my immediate answer has always been fear and desperation. That's why I started the sausage company. Not because I wanted to get into the sausage world, not because I thought it was going to be fun and easy and cool, because I needed to take care of my family. That was the quickest, easiest, fastest way for me to do it. And that's why I did it.
Talk to us about your shirt. It's so cute. I'm obsessed with it. Is this merch that you sell?
I don't sell it, but you will get one. I need to reorder it. I just actually put in a request for a quote from my and I'm going to tear up from this because it always makes me tear up. I've told this story 1,000 times.
Okay.
This is my dad.
Oh.
See, now you're going to get me tear. It's his first Holy Communion picture. So we took it, photoshopped. out the prayer book and the rosary and put the package of sausage in his hands. Frankie. So I do a little segment on my Instagram.
So sweet.
And my Instagram is Frankie Says. So I get a butcher paper and I just write out. My dad is one of the ultimate, most positive people. Just supportive and positive. And anyway, that's the shirt.
So sweet.
Yeah, no, he's a cool guy.
Okay, wait, so you take the butcher's paper.
But yeah, it's on my Instagram.
And this is a little segment that you do called Frankie Says.
Frankie Says, and it's just usually, it's inspirational words, right? It's just usually inspirational, positive words, you know, for him, wishes very much him. And I just sit there and write it out on the paper and videotape it, and then my social media person breaks it down and speeds it up, and it's just a little segment of not selling sausage, just bringing something good out there.
But this is you now bringing that core identity of family.
And Frankie and family. It was his father that had the butcher shop, so.
Exactly, it's so beautiful.
Yeah, no.
What did he think when you started this whole endeavor? Was he so excited?
I'm not sure you call it exciting, but he thinks what I've done is pretty impressive. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. But and it's his family too. It's his parent, his grandfather, his dad, and mom used to run the butcher shop along with my grandfather's two brothers. That's the history.
What part of Italy are you guys going to
Calabria.
So it's mine.
Yeah. So here's what I know about Calabrians.
Tell us.
I don't know if any of it's true, but it's typically farmers and thieves, from what I understand. Don't quote me. I don't know, but just good, hardworking people.
Yeah.
That's what I know.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? Any question? Anything we didn't dive into?
I think we have done a really.
Wait, can we talk about? No, there's one thing I didn't feel like I really addressed, which is gonna be a dumb question, but we have to break it down for everybody. When you're buying sausage, when you're buying sausage, and you were selling chicken sausage. That's different than a normal sausage because you're using the red.
Well, there's typically three different kinds of sausage.
Okay,
So
what are
there's
they?
chicken sausage. We've talked about that. The quality is typically not there unless the package says made without chicken skins. You can assume there's 20 to 25% of that product is skins. It's fat is flavor. It's true. So fat is flavor, and the only fat on a chicken is skin. So I get why they put it in there. But do you want to know that that's in there? And the other part is they make thighs and drumsticks. That's it. Dark meat, typically. So it doesn't say the other kind of sausage is my kind of sausage. And again, I use whole cuts of pork, but there are trimmings, there's fat, there's crazy pork parts, all kinds of stuff that can be used to make sausage. So know what you're getting. And the easiest way to know as a consumer, price will tell you, right? Price will tell you a lot. And higher the price, typically, you're going to get a better quality product. But if you cut it, if it's got a smooth finish, like a hot dog on it, like a hot dog, they've made an emulsion, they've hidden stuff in there, so you can't really tell what's in there. But that's the second kind. And then beef sausage is typically a rope, so it's like it got a U shape, and they just sell it differently. And I have no knowledge as to what goes into a beef sausage, but I can promise you it's probably not, whole cuts of anything.
And where can everyone buy your sausage?
In California, you're going to be finding it at Whole Foods, is my biggest distributor. Second would be Raley's, Bel Air, Nob Hill. That's in Northern California, mostly in Sacramento, in the Bay Area. And then all up and down Northern California, Southern California, a lot of independents, a lot of small independent grocery stores. And those are the ones that really help companies like they may want a free fill. I explained why earlier, but that's those, and they will, because they're searching for quality. Those independent ones are typically really quality driven.
Yeah, they're committed to it.
Yeah. Those are the ones you want to spend shopping, and it can be expensive though. That's the downside.
And can you purchase online?
Not yet.
Not yet, but TBD.
Yeah.
TBD.
Stay close. At makeititalian.net. Instagram, make it Italian. At make it Italian. Whole website, makeititalian.net. Website sucks, but it gives you a little information. So.
And what you have to tell the people you are just brand new to TikTok. Everyone needs to follow you on TikTok.
Again, at Make It Italian. And yeah, I'm really new to all of it. Again, none of it's really comfortable. But
you're doing it. That's the
I'm
first
doing
step.
it. And you know what? People have told me this is what you need to do.
Exactly.
And I read a quote. The thing that's holding you back is the thing you're not doing.
Mic drop.
What? Yeah.
Mic drop.
Yeah, literally.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.